Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Slevo and today I'm going to be doing the Legend Stage pick'ems for the Blast.tv Paris Major. If you remember from my first video, and as you can see on the screen now, I got 6 right. Pretty happy with that. My O3 pick I felt was pretty locked in. I'm very happy that it was Liquid that came up against him in the final map, even in the final series, even though it looked like it was going to be pretty dodgy there when Liquid lost the map, but my 3-0 pick was pretty unfortunate. NiP did end up going through, but they went through 3-1, unfortunately. So that was pretty close. Speaking of pretty close, fours as well. I think this is the second time that they've gone from 2-0 to 2-3 in a major, which is pretty unfortunate for me. I would have had 7 out of 9 if they had won that on the last day against Gamer Legion. And MOUZ just fucking vanished. I don't know what happened to them. They went 0-3. I don't think anyone in the world had them predicted for 0-3 unless it was a real meme pick or they absolutely despise MOUZ. But nonetheless, 6 right. We move on to the next stage, which is going to be the Legend stage. Really tough one. I've done a lot of thinking on this stage. So I'm hoping that I get maybe even more than 6 right for this one. I'm feeling confident. The ones I'm not feeling confident about are the O3 and 3Ls, because I think with the way that the seeding has gone, Vitality playing G2 day 1, FaZe playing Heroic day 1, it doesn't look like there's a real clear pick. But starting with this 3-0 pick, I'm stuck between Navi and Furia, really. I think the seeding for those two has kind of favored them. They have opening day matchups against teams that I feel like they can beat, which if they win, they'll move on and play teams that are also kind of suitable for them. If I'm looking at these two and thinking who's more likely to go out, like go out 2-3 or go 3-0, I'm going to lean on the side of Furia. So that's who I'm going to lock in for my 3-0. And I don't think I'll be going outside the box for a lot of these picks. I think in my mind, if the teams that I choose here go through to the playoffs, we might have one of the best playoff brackets in maybe ever. There's certainly for the last few years or the last few majors, I think this will be the best playoff bracket if it goes exactly how I think it will. So yeah, I'm going to go Furia with 3-0. For my O3 pick, I'm going to do that as well right now. A lot of people are going for Into the Breach. I think they've got a map in them. Bad News Eagles, I think, also have a map in them. So I'm kind of leaning on this side. Like maybe Monty, maybe Gamer Legion. But I think just in terms of how much I rate them as a team, I don't really rate Gamer Legion. I know they've gotten through 3-2 and they beat Fours, who I did pick in the last stage. But I think just the level of class and where their seeding is for this stage, I'm going to go with Gamer Legion as my 0-3 pick. That being said, we move on to the 7 teams that are going to go through to the playoffs. And starting out, I'm going to go with the other 3-0 team that I feel like I could have gone with. I'm going to go with Navi. I think Navi as a team are very, very solid. They went 3-0 at the RMR. We haven't seen them much since then. But I think Simple's level is always going to be pretty high, even though he's not the same player that he was last year or when they made their major winning run back at Stockholm. But I just think Navi is probably one of the strongest teams at this stage. And there's a reason they're going to be a lot of people's considerations for the 3-0 pick. Moving on from Navi, I'm going to go with the second strongest team that I think is at this stage, and that's going to be Heroic. As a 5-man team, I think they're undoubtedly the strongest as like a cohesive unit. They know how they want to play. Their roles are very flexible, but they all also know what they're meant to be doing on the map. They play a great brand of Counter-Strike, and especially for this stage, it's not the later stages, it's not the playoffs, so you can really stamp them in for going through. And I think even though they play FaZe day 1, they're not a bad shout for a 3-0 pick as well, actually, when you think about it. So yeah, I'm going to go Heroic and Navi as my first 2 to go through, just because I think they are the best teams traditionally at this Swiss stage. Later on in the tournament, we can have a conversation. I think Heroic are actually my pick to win the major, but it's also never a safe bet with Heroic when it comes to they can make the finals, but getting over the line has never really been their strong suit. Next up, I'm going to go with the hometown heroes, Vitality. I think in the same way as Furia did back at Rio, just something about where the major is set. It's going to mean a bit more to them at this point. So I think they're undoubtedly going to be one of the favorites to go through this stage as well, despite, like I said, a tough opening matchup against another team that I'm going to pick to go through. And the team that went 3-0 in the last stage is G2. So, like I said, I'm not really deviating too much. Like, I'm not going to go crazy here with some outside the box picks. I think most of these teams have a good chance of going through. There's the ones that I obviously don't rate very highly, like a Gamer Legion, like a Fnatic. I think Fnatic are very fortunate to be at the Legend stage, considering the 3-0 run that they had, being taken to overtime by the Irish Heroes, Viperio. BNE, Into the Breach. I'm just not really sold on these teams, and obviously we haven't seen them yet, so we don't know what they're bringing into this major. Same with Nine. Like, I love Hades. I love that style that they've been playing. They obviously underwhelmed IEM Rio when they got the chance to go. So, yeah, I'm not really going to go too far outside the box with those four at least, but we can have a conversation for the next ones. A team that also looked pretty solid at the previous stage was FaZe. And they were unfortunate not to get their 3-0 over. I'm spoiling my next pick as well, like, over ends. But I think they do have a playoff run in them. I'd be very surprised if FaZe don't make it through this part of the major, especially with the names on that roster and what it's going to mean for Karrigan's legacy. And he is very determined. And when they have their backs against the wall, when it really means something, they normally show up. I know they bombed out of Rio last time, but I don't know. I think it's different for FaZe this time. I think they really do have a playoff run in them. Next pick, like I said, I'm going to go Ents. I think they're another team that can probably go through 3-1 or even 3-0, depending on how the seeding goes. So, yeah, Ents are really locked in for me. They just look like a great team. Snappy's been talking a lot lately. We've seen some of the headlines coming out that obviously he thinks to himself that he's the best Danish IGL. Whether he is up for debate, but he himself believes it. And having Nertz as a superstar, some Pius as a fantastic operator, he had a fantastic challenger stage. They just have a really solid team, and Ents just continue to produce with resources that, like, a lot of top teams, I don't think would be able to function inside of. Like, it's not really a budget team, but it's not a FaZe where they broke the bank for Brokey or Twists or bringing Karrigan back to the table. So yeah, I think Ents are one of my favorites to go through at this point, and this is where we get into the crunch time. This last spot, I think there's a lot of teams that could take this. I think Apex isn't a bad shout. I would have had them for 0-3 if I didn't watch them play in the previous stage. They really showed up, and it's a team that has good names on it. Like JL, Jacob, and Knock as a fragging core is fantastic. Sticko as that supportive element who has a pop-off game in him, and Kixan, who's really elevated this team. We saw them struggle with the likes of Shocks, and I believe they had another player in another iteration. But yeah, Apex have really kind of shocked me at this stage, so I definitely wouldn't pick them to be as a guaranteed eliminated team. But I'm stuck between NiP, Apex, and Liquid. Liquid for me, as the North American bias of working at Dust2.us, I really want to put them in that last spot, but the confidence is there now. I don't know if the level is fully back, though, because they played Fluxo, my 0-3 pick. They played Complexity, a North American team that they know very well, and they know that they're stronger than. And then in the final game, they played Greyhound, who I think were very fortunate to even make it to 2-1. Or to 2-2, sorry. So yeah, I'm really not sure. I'm not too sold on Liquid. NiP had a very solid previous stage. I know I had them to go through 3-0, and they went through 3-1. But yeah, I'm very stuck between these last ones. And Monty as well. Monty kind of scraped through, so I'm not as sold on Monty. Yeah, I think I'm just going to trust my gut with Liquid going through. I think there's also a chance that Liquid, with the matchups that they have opening up, there's a chance we see them go 0-2 to 3-2 again. Because I've gone through like the simulator, try and figure out who's going to be playing who at what stage, I think. And obviously it's all predictions because one match could completely throw off your the seeding and stuff. But yeah, I think I'm just going to be a basic bitch and go for Liquid. And I know I'm not thinking very outside the box with these. It's probably a very straightforward and basic picks. But like I said at the start of the video, if this is the major playoff bracket with these teams, we are in for a fucking banger Champions stage. And yeah, I'm going to lock those in. This is my dream. This is just all I want right now, is for these 8 teams to be in the playoffs, because I think I'm going to be going over to Paris. I would be so fucking stoked if that's the playoffs. And I think we're in for a real treat if it is. So yeah, pretty straightforward. I'm happy with these picks. I can't wait to come back and see that I got 3 out of 9 right. I can't wait to see FaZe go out 0-3 and a Fnatic versus 9 major final, which I'm sure will break viewership records. So yeah, that's going to be it from me here. I'm hoping to have the Champions stage pick'em on Tuesday. I'm going to try and do a Tuesday night because I take off on Wednesday morning. So yeah, hopefully I can get that video done and up on time. And for people who have tuned into the previous one, thanks for coming back. If you're new here, make sure to like and subscribe. And I'll see you when it comes to the Champions stage pick'ems.